Hello again. Today I'm going to look at something pretty different, which is some music from the Dynasty Warriors series. And this is going to be from Dynasty Warriors 5. It's a suggestion I got with some good detail from someone who I assume is a big fan of the games and good taste in other soundtracks as well. So I was pretty curious to check out at least one piece from him. From number 5 on the PS2, a game from 2005. Composers Hasebe and Sasaki, who, going through their prior work, primarily working on Dynasty Warriors soundtracks, different Musou games, and also Romance of the Three Kingdoms. That is also a series that either both of them or at least Toru Hasebe has worked on. So Dynasty Warriors and Romance of the Three Kingdoms kind of composers. Yeah, I'm curious to see what this is about. This is a track called Condensed. And aptly, it's not particularly long, 2 minutes, 40 seconds. It itself is a little condensed, which is great. So we get a peek into what some of these games sound like and what this sound team of composers can put together. I do want to see if there were any notes from the suggestion as well. The requester said that Dynasty Warriors 5 is actually their favorite OST. So yeah, I'm really curious. It really appeals to some people, and I'll see. Don't even really know what type of track this is or the setting, which is great. So I'm just going in blind, open anything. Let's take a look. It's kind of fading, morphing bowls. That's a very interesting sound. Damn. All right then. That's a again, 30 seconds in, we're stopping, and a very interesting sound. We just kind of have this like almost singing bowl resonating like sound, morph sound back in, really cool intro. But we're gonna move into something that sounds almost more like, it almost ends up sounding more like a PlayStation 1 racing game kind of menu theme, if you know what I mean. There's this kind of like specific almost genre for that. I know there's even a couple artists who like write music in that style, but yeah, it sounds like, it reminds me of like PS1 racing games kind of sound once it gets into it, but it has this fascinating noise that I don't even know what I'd categorize this as, but it's really cool. And then brings in this kind of odd guitar work, and it just gets groovy. The vibe is totally different. Like this could almost be like in Persona 3. I could definitely see it being there somewhere in Tartarus. Certainly not what I was expecting. You've got this walking bass going up and down. Nice little weird echo in the back. Yeah. Ooh, electronic grinding. Something very nostalgic about that downward space motion. Oh, that was interesting. It broke pattern for just a second. Add another note in the rhythm with the bass here. It's the teeniest little thing, but it's kind of unusual. Right there, it just kind of like, trips over itself for a second, not in terms of like a mistake, but in terms of like, that's like the way that sound feels. Like, if you just listen to the complete, like, the consistent pacing of the bass, and it kind of like flips up and back just for a moment. Yeah, right there. still got that weird noise going on in the back that, again, something's kind of Persona-esque about it to me, you know. Little, you know, it's almost like a little word being said by some demon. Oh yeah, this is a PS1 racer sound for sure. I just picture this being like the character select for this game, even though I wouldn't think that's what Dynasty Warriors would sound like. Yeah, I'm gonna look for more tracks after this. I wasn't originally planning to do more, but I'll let this be a bit longer video and check out some more. This is so intriguing. Just got that dancey bass hit. 4 on the floor. And we're back, and I assume this is where we're gonna loop. Alright, now let me... just gonna fade out right here. Oh, actually they do play an end to it. Cool. I am just going to look for Dynasty Warriors 5 OST and see what has views. Like, what is the... see, 400,000 views on something called Great Red Spirit and 200,000 one called Lu Bu. And they're both 3 minutes long. I'm going to do these two. I'm just going to shot in the dark, see what these are. This is called Great Red Spirit from Dynasty Warriors 5, like 400k views. Still got like a beat with some odd sounds in it. Seems to be a through line. The guitar started in the left, now it's in stereo. Kind of look more like 2 guitars. I could do that. Oh man, what a great percussion rhythm. Different guitar, you know, chunky riff there. Man, what great energy this has. It suits the title and the image perfectly. This is some real, you know, fire spirit kind of music, but again, it's this sensibility around the percussion and the beats they're making that is so much reminds me of these, you know, PS1 racers. It's just a certain, I wonder what you would even call like racer core. Like there's a certain genre to it, and it's about this kind of exact use of percussion that's so nostalgic to this like early PlayStation stuff. You can find like playlists of it on YouTube, and I've listened to them sometimes of that exact genre. No idea that Dynasty Warriors was full of it. Like just what a great, very hype approach to percussion. Stepping up in the same sequence. Again, this just relentless percussion. Ooh, great tone. That sounds lovely. Bring back in the full percussion. Again, that great guitar sound, but now we've got thicker texture on it. Pretty heroic melody. Nice, great solo. Down to halftime, slow it down, more layers of guitars. So much energy, it's nowhere to pause. Some of the longest I've gone without pausing. It's so energetic. All right, I'll do it right at that little drop there. Man, what I do want to comment on is that like there's a lot of I do a lot of JRPGs on this channel and play a lot of them, and there is a lot of rock and metal influenced music there. Lots in Xenoblade that I've been looking at plenty. There's lots in the East games, which I've played almost the whole series of. All the Falcom games in general have a lot. But what's interesting is that most of those feel like they have a very similar approach to their rock and metal instrumentation and use of things like guitar solos. Like, there is a lot of overlap in terms of a sense of like a larger style that exists across all of those, even different composers and different, production studios. And just like this has a very different vibe, despite similar instruments and similar elements to it. I wouldn't, is it just, it's not in the JRPG pool, so I guess it, you'd probably call Dynasty Warriors an action Japanese game with role-playing elements, so maybe you could call it that, but you know what I mean. Traditional JRPG genre, maybe that just leans something genre-wise for the games, also leads to something genre-wise for the music. This being a bit of a different genre, maybe that has something to do with slightly different conventions musically, but like there's just a different vibe where all of those can sound like they come from a certain lineage of rock instrumentation, and this has its own kind of groove. It's very percussion focused in a different way. And yeah, just even the guitar solo is a little different than what I'm used to in other OSTs that have the same instruments. So it's really cool. It's mixing things up for me. And yeah, let me back up, get where it transitions there, go through to the end. Ooh, I love it. High-pitched guitar with the other riff going on at the same time. Keeps bringing in different layering with the guitars. Line sounds sick. What a fantastic track. Makes me want to play the game because I'm like, yeah, like I've never played a Musou game, but I could imagine what the gameplay looks like combined with this sound. That would be pretty exciting. You're fighting massive hordes of enemies and kind of battling nonstop. All right, let's switch to this third track that I wanted to look at. Okay, and this track is called Lu Bu. Maybe like the last one, it also pertains to a specific boss or character. But yeah, let's see if again we get this kind of really cool approach to percussion, or if it's going to be a different vibe. Oh yeah, no, it's identifiably the same soundtrack. Again, we got these riffs. I love letting that wail reverberate out. It's all about those drums and bass, but I do love the approach to the guitar here. Ooh, nice note choice. What was all that cool, like, kind of feedback sound or something? Power slide down. Kind of wailing noise in the top. Ooh. What was that? I want a whole piece of that sound. What a total change up for a second. that guitar technique, and we have these lower ones stepping down in this downward scale together. And that must be so distinctive in the game. Just hearing this awesome single guitar note wail. But yeah, it's all soundtrack really just, it does a lot to support the constant non-stop action with just all this percussion. But it really makes me wonder if the Romance of the Three Kingdoms also has this kind of sound with the same composers, or if it's totally different. Because it's hard to imagine a strategy game having beats like this. Of course, you know, composers capable of writing all kinds of styles of music, but so far, 3 for 3, they have a very similar vibe for Dynasty Warriors 5 with these composers. So I'm just really curious, like, do we have this kind of sweet percussion, these sweet beats for Romance of the Three Kingdoms too? That would be interesting. Yeah, that was a very interesting dive into the Dynasty Warriors 5 soundtrack. I had no idea it sounded like that with these composers. Really had no idea. And the developers Omega Force, interesting. Inspired the cover-based third-person shooter of the game they made called Winback. I have never even heard of this. Winback Covert Operations. Fascinating. That's a piece of trivia I had no idea. I imagine it says it got used later in, Gears of War, obviously famous for third-person cover. Wow. So this studio is really, they had the same studio from Dynasty Warriors 1 in 97 as a fighting game, all the way through 2025. It's not often you see one studio stick that long without a series like passing studios. Spin-offs as well. Yeah, this isn't even like a Dynasty Warriors page. This is for Omega Force. Interesting. Yeah. Omega Force. Stylized with the character for Omega. That's cool. Anyways, nice logo as well. That was super interesting, and not at all what I was expecting. I can see why these have hundreds of thousands of views, because they're great for, just like stimulating, chillin' music. Like I said, I've listened to playlists of this kind of like retro PS1 kind of racer music before, and these would be perfect on that. Maybe I even have heard some of it on that without knowing, because they fit that vibe exactly. But yeah, that was totally out of the box for what I was thinking of and what I usually do. And what a cool chance to be exposed to that. Suddenly I have a sense what those games sound like and kind of feel more interested in playing them, because yeah, it's a great sound. Keep sending me some interesting reactions like that. I love checking out things that are very new to me, and I'll see you in the next one. Until next time.